Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 49 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. And this week's show, we're finally going to be focusing on our matchday experiences, talking about what we thought made a good matchday experience, what made a bad matchday experience. Coincidentally, I've just visited Ibrox. Take from that what you will. Also, we're going to be looking at the top 6 is looming near, so we're going to be looking at how teams are facing up there. Does anyone actually care? Along with our usual news, looking ahead to the Scotland Internationals occurring this weekend. Rounding off with our usual attack at the end and some team of the season predictions, even though I don't think we usually get many Scots players in the kind of FIFA team of the season, but it's good to predict. Anyway, alongside myself this evening is fellow football fanatic John Brown. Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello. Missed out on football last weekend, did you?
Not really.
Oh dear. Yeah, you're not missing out on Scottish football. And of course myself, the most ropey Scottish football announcer in the nation. Anyway, let's crack on. So, first things first, the news. This week, it looks like Bilal Mojni won't be heading to Dundee United, and they've instead gone for Anthony Ralston, who's very experienced in dealing with championship level players, defending against the likes of Neymar, doing a stand-up job, so he should fill the boots quite well. But we were talking earlier, and we can barely name, a Dundee United player that's played well this season.
Or any championship defender has played well.
Well, I know we've really struggled defensively this season. Scottish football's not been producing a lot.
Not at all, actually.
Which bodes well for the upcoming international fixtures. And very sadly, we've lost yet another talent to Canada. It is, of course, St Johnstone's David Wotherspoon.
Heartbreaking.
Dear, Canada are just picking them off right now as far as, Scottish footballers are concerned.
No, why Canada?
I don't know. We've got, Luca Gasparotto aligned to Canada, Fraser Aird, Scott Arfield, who is injured, sadly can't play. I think Marcus Haber of Dundee, Canada, now David Wotherspoon, and of course Marcus Godinho, 20-year-old Hearts player on loan at East Fife last season. So it's a shame he couldn't have been called up while playing for East Fife, as that would have been a first I can possibly imagine.
Ever, probably for an international player.
I think so. So they're playing New Zealand. I think they're quite similar nations footballing wise, quite small. A few talents.
Yeah, one or two. I think Canada's probably a better team.
I think they've got one.
No idea.
I think they've got one good player, Hutchison, that plays with Besiktas. The rest of them were fairly unknown to me.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you a single New Zealand player.
Oh, that's disappointing, John.
I can name you two former.
Who are the former ones you go for?
Xander Diamond and Chris Killen, I think was.
I don't know if Xander Diamond played for New Zealand, did he?
I thought he was.
I think he aligned
Scottish?
with England. Right into us. Chris Killen's one, and former Aberdeen striker Rory Fallon, which is not a name I would expect anybody to remember. So, aye, good on you boys for getting your calls up for Canada. We'll be watching. Not very closely, because of the time difference. Although we should look that up for our rack attack. It might be a good fixture to call on. But anyway, more to the point, we discussed last week our concern about the Scottish international selection. Tossed a few names around. I'm pretty sure almost none of those were picked.
Yep.
And there was a lot of names picked that I forgot about. Actually, to be honest, I didn't even think of the likes of. Well, what were your surprises?
I was quite surprised to see McGeoch in there.
McGeoch was the surprise for me as well.
But then again, who else do you pick?
Well, a lot of midfielders, the foreign players. McLean from Aberdeen, McGeoch.
Again, I'll be in there. McTominay
is an
will
interesting.
definitely start. It's just who beside.
I think so. It's a bit of a shame. I think there was a big hype about some Motherwell players being in there. Didn't quite happen. I guess they've been on the slides recently. A couple of Aberdeen names. Scott McKenna. Playing quite well. I was quite surprised to see John McLaughlin of Hearts.
I don't know a huge amount. I've not really seen that much of him.
I've been lobbying for Jamie McDonald of Kilmarnock.
No.
I think he'd be better shouting John McLaughlin, but maybe not an international name. Alan McGregor.
I thought he was injured.
Well, he's always injured. Again, that's a forgotten man, isn't it? Really?
Much. He's with Hull. I think he slipped down the table.
Jordan Archer, the other goalkeeper, I know next to nothing about.
I seen him last season.
Right.
In Newcastle games in the Championship. He's a decent keeper.
Interesting. See, no, Christoph Berra in defence. It's an interesting omission.
Surprised at that.
That's probably about the only experienced name we could have picked that was left out. Forwards usually slim on the line, but we've got Ollie McBurney, Jason Cummings, and Matt Phillips.
Richie's in there.
Yeah, but he's classified as a midfielder here.
Class.
Well, yeah, he's very, very good. But he's not gonna carry the team. Oh, Ryan Christie's in
there. He'll carry that team.
I think it depends what sort of lineup he's going for.
Super Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, well, okay, calm down. You're a Newcastle fan, all right. He's a very, very talented footballer, but against Costa Rica, do you expect to see a conservative team? Do you expect to see something more experimental?
I'll definitely be experimental. I would put my house on that if I had one.
I don't know. We always go with some conservative. Apart from the game against Holland, which was quite radical.
I think Alec McLeish has to make a statement in this game. And with that, he will certainly go for a very attacking lineup. A moderately attacking lineup.
Well, by the sounds of things, he's kind of mooting a back three.
Which would make sense, because most Scottish Premiership teams play with a back three now. So
you thinking, I don't know, maybe a couple of wing backs, in the midfield five of maybe Tierney and Barry Douglas, maybe? Or
you'd have
Mulgrew, Martin,
God,
McKenna or Hanley. I would be surprised to see McKenna. Well, I don't know.
I think McKenna might start. This is all second guessing. It's very new. It's all brand new.
It is all brand new and exciting and fresh.
Well,
okay,
it's a little bit harrowing actually when you see it. A lot of it's not all that. It's not stardom, put it that way.
Well, that's the thing.
One or two good potential players, but there's nothing there to kind of caught my eye.
No.
And thinking, that's a.
Well, one thing that I thought, if you go through these players and look at the number of players here that haven't won either a major trophy or a league title, I think you would find quite a lot of names.
Yes, or playing at the top flight.
Well, I mean, Archer probably never won anything. McLaughlin, Douglas, I think maybe won the Polish league when he was out there. Hanley has just gone down the way. Martin has only been relegated. McKenna, don't think was part of the League Cup campaign. That doesn't really count anyway. All these names not, I don't know, just not top line footballers.
No, they're not
successful at the top level.
They're not a really, really good team. And you would look at that squad and you would compare it to maybe the Republic squad and the Wales squad, and you think the Wales and Ireland squads are better. And if that's where we're going to compare ourselves against.
Yeah, I guess there's more Premier League names, I guess, in the Ireland and Wales squad than we have now.
Yeah.
Do you think we've kind of isolated ourselves from British football kind of down the years? Because remember, the top Scottish players, used to ply their trade down south, and in the Premier League 30, 40 years ago, the top players were Scottish. Your Dalglishes, your St John's, your Souness.
Yeah, Dalglish, Billy Bremner, if you want to go that far back. They were terrific players. I think there's a small increase in Scottish players maybe appearing down in the Premiership, especially Andy Robertson moving to Liverpool. That's quite a statement.
He's done well there.
Probably obviously breaking into the Man United team. The other two you're kind of looking at.
He's not really Scottish. We've managed to hoodwink him into. Although apparently he went to Celtic
Charlie,
games.
Calm down.
Well, no, but I'm saying he's not one of our own. He wasn't born and bred Scottish, and he didn't come through our footballing system.
It doesn't matter though.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm quite happy to take
Ryan
it.
Giggs never came through any Welsh academy, did he?
No, I know.
Selected to play for
I know.
Wales. I didn't see much of a hype about that.
I think these days, if English teams take our top players, it's from the youngest level. You don't see any more. You wouldn't see a top Rangers player going to a Premier League team.
Not at the moment. I think you might see Tierney move, and there's your example. McGinn might do it. There
was the rumour of Dembele, but then there was those rumours about John McGinn going to West Ham, and we were all like, "Whoa, that is a humongous step." And I'll never forget years ago when Russell Anderson, Aberdeen legend, signed for Sunderland for I think £1 million, which is ludicrous. Now, you could never see Anthony O'Connor doing the same thing for several very good reasons beyond that.
Yes.
But in his first game, he came on, I think within 2 or 3 minutes, he'd challenged someone, given away a penalty, was sent off, and his career was over.
Yep, back to Aberdeen.
And I think the only Scottish players to make any real success of their Premier League careers have been, Robertson, who for me has been a real worker and has stuck with a lot of teams, even Hull down in the Championship. he got his big break to go to Liverpool, and then Arfield as well has carved out quite a good career. Charlie Adam, you could probably argue as well, not playing a lot now.
For a season or two he did. Arfield was the one that we kind of let go. I don't know why we did that, considering he's not a mainstay in a top 6 Premiership team, but he's been a part of that Burnley squad for several seasons in the Premiership.
I think your reputation kind of precedes you in some cases, and I think he wasn't a glamorous name that was well known to many people in Scotland. I think Falkirk fans knew him well because Falkirk player. Elsewhere, people would have been like, "Oh, really? He's Scottish or Canadian." Now, there's a Tim Hortons opening here now, so come back, Scott. You might like that.
We'll see how we go on. I don't know. I struggle to get interested in the national team. Don't know why.
Yeah, I
probably should, but I don't. There's nothing there that interests me. I think it's all just Blazers who like the posture. It's all a complete and utter irrelevance.
Well, for me, this is what I've been calling out for. More of the top talent from our league versus just Championship players, and that's kind of happening with this squad. So that's good to see. And although I'm sceptical about how well we might do, it's what I wanted to see. So Costa Rica and Hungary are not interesting ties to pique your interest.
I mean, I'm not going to be scrambling home to go and watch it. That's for sure.
I think for Costa Rica, was Gamboa Costa Rican?
Oh, crikey. I remember looking at it. There was nothing of interest in Costa Rica.
Right.
Like, most of them play in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And I think if you go back to our previous podcast, I said most of them play in Europe. That was a lie.
So they're completely wrong, yeah.
They all play in Central America.
So we're wrong.
Very wrong in that. Which begs the question, why on earth are they coming to Glasgow?
I don't know. I think... But we might be playing Belgium, which is more interesting.
Nah, that's just a doing.
Quite possibly.
Hungary will probably dish out the same. I couldn't name you a Hungarian player. I don't think.
Well, Zoltan Gira. Christian Gamboa was from Costa Rica. There you go. Where's he play now?
He's not still at Celtic.
Is he? Oh, he is. He is, aye.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
He's injured.
Alright, I've not seen you in a while, Christian. Anyway, going back to your kind of dull Blazer point, we're getting a new person appointed to the SFA board.
Ooh, scumbag.
It is Neil Doncaster Rovers himself, who has been magnanimously unpopular, and also has one of the most annoying voices in Scottish football, which doesn't help when you're at the helm of a very public organisation.
A condescending man. I really can't take to him or Reagan.
Yes, well, I mean...
we're really one of them.
A lot of people... Yeah, it's just kind of one...
This is nepotism.
It's bad. It's going bad to worse, really, isn't it? Doncaster was not very popular, and a lot of clubs have thrown their kind of toys at the pram. St Mirren aren't happy, Hibs aren't happy. Lots and lots of people. I'm looking at quotes here. A shocking appointment. Shouldn't have got near Partick Thistle. Aren't happy.
Well, their chairman's now the head of the SPFL.
Is he?
I think he's taken over from Neil Doncaster.
Right. Okay. I heard the rumour that he was getting close to that. It was a shame for Partick. I think he's run them quite well apparently over the years.
I mean, he may actually be quite good for the SPFL, but I don't know how hamstrung they are by the SFA. Because this is two separate organisations who do very separate things, but I think the SFA will supersede the SPFL. I don't know about the intricacies of it, but there's a lot of political games that will go on in the background. I think that's where Doncaster's managed to get this gig.
Yeah. It's
out of the frying pan and into the fryer.
It is. It's not a good move, especially at the time where there is such a magnifying glass on the SFA for change.
Yep.
And you did need someone that was going to be charismatic. You needed someone that was going to be popular. And we've got the polar opposite.
I think he's going to name it like the SFA rather than rebrand it like English style.
What, to just the FA?
Yeah.
Well, we've rebranded the same everything else.
Yeah.
So. Who cares? Again, what do they really do for Scottish football? I mean...
Nothing.
It's
a short answer. I don't know.
But somebody could have changed that, and I think we've missed that opportunity. He's been involved in Scottish football for far too long.
Been involved for far too long in far too many issues. But no one can touch him, and he will turn around and say, but it's the clubs that can oust me. This is when he was at the SPFL.
But
no one did.
That's the point that people make about, successful businessmen, business people, whatever, is you don't stay at the top forever. Once you've kind of done 4 or 5 years, you kind of go out, seek a new challenge. Whereas if you've got your feet under the table for that long, you're a bit cosy. You're not necessarily, pushing the boat out to try and do the best for that organisation. I think that certainly could be a symptom that we see happening there.
Yep.
So no, Scotland is both interesting and boring simultaneously. Was the point we make there. So we'll find out what we think about how they'll get on against Costa Rica later. I'm sure we'll see Christian Gamboa at the game at very least, hopefully.
One way or another.
The only Costa Rican we know. Anyway, a few key points on the kind of few weekend games we had. Oh, there's quite a few actually, sorry. Despite the snow, lots of good pictures for you to look at on the Sofamanager Instagram. Didn't get lots of abuse actually for Dundee United legend Maurice Malpass.
Just the one.
Oh, it was you. If you do see abuse, don't assume that it is a member of the public. It is just John Brown on the wind-up.
Trolling.
I told you you're full of pish, which was absolutely the case. Sneaky bit of stat manipulation in that. It said he played across 3 decades. And they were like, oh my goodness, 30 years, that's a long time. Well, in fact, he played from 1979 to 2000. So 70s, 80s, 90s. Oh, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000. That'd be 4 decades then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll need to change that stat then. Which doesn't happen anymore, but speaking of Scotland, he was the last part-time player to play for Scotland. And, did we touch on this last week at all?
We did a little bit.
I wish I'd seen more of that. But of course, he did get involved in Scotland at a later date, and that time won't be remembered well. Anyway, to this week's games, I think the biggest news story was, the Old Firm didn't take many points from this weekend's games.
Yep, keeps it tight.
It does keep it tight. Rangers getting beat 1-0 again by Kilmarnock.
Just a disaster.
They just can't get the measure of them at all.
I hate Kilmarnock.
Oh, I love Kilmarnock. I think they're just so well organised under Steve Clarke.
The media darlings.
Pretty much. It's not helping their attendances much.
Despite them keep prattling on about it.
I know. But what shocks me about, a lot of Rangers fans absolutely slating the performance, apart from, the darling Greg Doherty, who did make quite a bad mistake. Again, going with one up top, this time Cummings instead of Morelos. But, the complaint was no service, and, it's something we see Celtic do as well, this season. It's usually Dembele up top, Griffiths up top. But why, when you're at the sharp end of the league, are you playing with one striker?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
If you want to do the Celtic comparison, they have very good wingers.
Yes.
To support the lone striker.
Yes.
And they've always got either Rogic or Armstrong or, someone sitting in the hole of the midfield that can sort of link up play a lot better. Rangers don't really have that, in my opinion.
Not at the moment, no.
I think if you have Javen Murphy on form, and then you can play Morelos and or Jason Cummings, and that's a really good front three.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you've got Tavernier on one side supporting, I know he's a right back, but he spends most of the time in the second half of the field.
He does.
So they really should be pushing a lot more. I don't know, after getting beat in the Old Firm game, I don't know if this is a consolidation attempt. Try and hang on for a second and keep Aberdeen at bay.
Well, losing that game now puts them back in a precarious situation with Aberdeen, because I think Aberdeen have a game in hand.
Yes, they're only 2 behind as well.
2 behind, so, whereas before, if Aberdeen won both games in hand, they would have been home and dry. Now that's not the case. And people are starting to question, Murty's kind of tactical now about, he's made some funny substitutions.
Yep.
He's been quite cautious, with the team. And, is it I think, what were the rumours this week of who they were going to replace him with? The Portuguese guy.
No, Portuguese guy.
Yeah, I know. Is it Marco Silva? He used to be Hull manager, and then I think is he Watford manager now, or at the start of the season?
There was a Marco Silva that managed Watford this season.
Did he get sacked?
Probably.
Well, I didn't know that Mark Hughes was Southampton manager until like 10 minutes ago.
Aye. Yeah.
So I think he was the rumour, and I thought, is that just out of convenience to make your current Portuguese crop happy?
Make Bruno feel better.
Yeah, I know. That would be a daft decision, in that they've just fixed their Portuguese issues by bringing in more Scottish people. And then, although Murty's English, isn't he?
Yes, aye.
Why has he been so loyal to that club all that time?
Well, that's a different topic.
Is it? I don't know. But no, his kind of tactical nous is coming into question. So whereas we were saying he was a shoo-in for the job last week,
I still think he is.
Even if he finishes third.
Yeah, I think he's done a reasonable job between January and now. And given what he signed in January
Uh-huh.
and what Rangers were before that, it's a big improvement.
It's a huge
You can't argue against that.
It's a huge improvement. But their main contenders, Aberdeen, a pretty sloppy 1-0 victory against Dundee. The pitch seems to be the main complaint at the moment, which is unusual because all the rest of the pitches in Scotland are holding up quite well. But again, going with Stevie May up top for no apparent reason. I think he's got 5 goals and I think 20 appearances this season, which for a main striker isn't enough.
That's pretty abysmal.
Well, we said right at the start of the season they had striking problems, and those have never gone away.
No, I don't know what McInnes was thinking. I don't know if it was a too good a deal to bring in Stevie May, and then he's all of a sudden realised, I can't play him and Rooney up front together, and he's got no other option.
Well, again, it's one of these successful teams, and I can see why May and Rooney don't work together.
They're
because
exactly the same player.
Exactly. Rooney's quite big target man. May, I think, used to be a bit more mobile, but his movement's been shocking. So, I think that covers up a lot of cracks, in the Aberdeen team at the moment. And I think going into the top 6, they could really, really struggle. And they have done. They've struggled against Hibs this season. They've taken nothing off of Rangers and Celtic.
Yep.
And if you want to finish second, they're going to have to take points off those 3 teams. And right now, I don't see that happening.
That's the only bonus point for Rangers is Aberdeen are so poor against better teams.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
It sadly is true. But they're going to have an interesting conundrum with Joe Lewis is about to come back fit. And, with Freddie Woodman saving 3 penalties. He's such a penalty specialist. Winning the England Under-18 World Cup and now saving Aberdeen. And I don't know if Newcastle would put any pressure on them to play Woodman.
If they care, to be honest.
But
they're so hyped up on their own.
I don't understand because, Woodman is probably the highest rated keeper in England, in terms of coming through.
He's one of the kind of real up-and-comings along with the boys at Everton. Butland, I think his name.
Pickford.
Aye. He spent a fortune on. Who's only about 2 or 3 years older than Freddie Woodman.
Oh, is he?
He's 21, 22, I think.
See, that's a shame because Woodman could certainly be the next,
He
I don't want to say Joe Hart, but,
No, you don't want to be the new Joe Hart.
No. In his prime.
He could be. He's one of the kind of up-and-coming England goalkeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the coming years you'll see him in the Newcastle team.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no way we get into the Newcastle team, not even on the bench at the moment. We've got about 3 keepers that are all well ahead of him.
Aye.
And Tim Krul on loan. I think he's on loan.
I think he's on loan as well, yeah.
Well, there's 4 keepers in front of him. I don't see Newcastle putting a huge amount of pressure on the club, on Aberdeen, to play him.
Uh-huh.
But I think there'd be enough pressure from Woodman himself. Now that he's established, he's done quite well.
Yeah.
It'd be very, very harsh for Joe Lewis just to come and step in.
I still feel bad for Danny Rogers in this whole situation.
A wee bit, aye.
You're effectively being told you're nothing but a sub keeper.
Aye, you're not good enough for Aberdeen, mate.
And that must be hard to take for a club you've been at for a very, very long time. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that conundrum when they come back. Celtic also drawing with top 6 chasers Motherwell in a 0-0, quite a fiery contested game. Was it Cedric Kipre sent off for kicking Scott Brown, which you're apparently not allowed to do, in spite of the fact I think he tried to punch him in the nuts, to put it politely.
Doing an Aaron Muirhead.
Aye, well, yes, he didn't get any retribution for that. Didn't even make the highlights. I was kind of shocked.
That was disappointing.
So no, fiery fixture. I think a point was a fair result. And from a top 6 sense now, it looks like Hearts with their thumping victory over Partick are just far enough away from Motherwell. And there's no real surprises going to take place there.
No,
I think Kilmarnock would be the surprise, but they've been the form team, and Motherwell have been on the slide, so the natural order's been restored.
Indeed.
We're just missing Dundee United. He'll never get back there again.
Never.
So I think that rounds off our kind of Premiership chat.
Indeed.
And on to the main topic for this evening's show, and that of course going to be Matchday experience. The reason we brought this up was because, the Scottish Cup attendances in particular have been down. I think average attendances have been down. There's a lot of empty seats in the stadium, and a lot of fans have been, just not going to the football on a Saturday. So we were just going to talk about, what our good experiences were, our bad experiences, and just chat through it. So would you like to get the ball rolling, John?
If you want me to, yes.
Yeah, on you go.
So my first question to you would be,
Hmm.
do you enjoy going to football games?
No. Well, right. I tell you what.
A loaded question.
Do I like going to the Falkirk game week in, week out? No, I don't. But I don't know. For me, it just loses that specialness because you're just so used to it, and I kind of will kind of come to this, but the quality of the football in the Championship is not pleasing on the eye. You're there because you love the team, you love the club, you love what it stands for. You're not there to see a good football game. So, a lot of times, I have to be there to help out. There's a lot of times I'm quite happy at the moment. I've got 2 weeks off, which is, it's actually quite nice to have a wee break. But I imagine, season ticket holders feel the same way.
I feel obliged to go.
Well, you paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you yourself have missed quite a few games this season going to see, other football, or if the weather was bad, that puts people off.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it reflects some attendance figures, wink, wink. So, yeah, I don't know. I think when you go to a football game, you know that sometimes it's going to be a special occasion. For example, when Falkirk beat Dundee United, 6-1?
No one was expecting that.
No, I know. And I was at Stirling Albion that day. So I go with the rough and don't get any of the smooth, which is how I like it. Sorry. So yeah, kind of from that point of view, do I enjoy going to the football every weekend? No. Because I think it gets a bit repetitive. How about yourself?
I used to really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do it every week, home and away. Would never miss a game. Now, given the predicament of Falkirk in particular, I don't go even half as much as what I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to the home games as much as I can because I bought a season ticket. I was condemned to that. I think I've been to maybe one away game this season.
Yeah.
I'm not to remember where that was because it was so long ago. I think I was dragged to it. But anyway,
yeah.
And Morton.
Oh, there you go.
Is the only away game I've been to, and I hate going to Morton.
Uh-huh.
That is the worst place in the world apart from Dumbarton.
Well, I guess, speaking about the fan experiences, you talk about the facilities. And we can kind of compare those because we've been to a lot of different, football stadiums and things throughout the year. What's been the favourite stadium you've visited for a football match, for example?
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Olympiastadion in Berlin was one of the best stadiums I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you walked in, it's like going to Murrayfield. In terms of you walk through the gate, and it's all very open plan. You could get a beer, you could wander around, you could go to the club shop. You got the subway right to the stadium. You need to park your car or walk half a mile. It was accessible. It was brilliant. San Siro was really nice. James's Park's absolutely fantastic. Honestly, one of the best atmospheres you can go to for a normal league game as well.
Yeah.
And you're right in the city centre. There's loads of pubs, loads of places for food. It's brilliant. I'm not going to think of anywhere in Scottish football that I enjoy going to.
The thing is, in terms of where I've been, Pittodrie's quite run down. I love it, but it's...
I've been to Pittodrie twice, and it's okay, but I've been when it's like January, and it's a 90-mile-an-hour wind blowing off the North Sea, and then that, where the away fans are, it's open terrace.
Aye.
It just comes straight at you.
Straight through.
So you're completely and utterly...
Well, if you're lucky enough at a nighttime game, you might see an aurora, ironically, which we're all for.
In Kings Park?
Or whatever, aye. Murrayfield we went to for a football game.
Which is probably nicer than most stadiums.
Well, exactly, again, to come back to your Olympiastadion point, when you go to a rugby match, it's all very open plan, you get your ticket through the gate, and then there's just stalls of stuff everywhere, and there's people just hanging outside the stadium, drinking beer, getting the chat, and it's a real sense of community. Whereas at a football ground, it's very much, ticket, in the gate, into your seats.
90 minutes later, you're back out again. That's
pretty
it.
much. You can go and get a pie and a bovril in the meantime. But I know, down south, they're big on having their tellies there with all the other football that's on. You can get your beer. It's a crying shame that we don't have that. But I think it's down to, the different mentality of football fans compared to, in this country especially, compared to...
I don't see a huge amount of comparison, to be honest. In comparison.
Well, see, for
Are
me...
you telling me English fans are more well-behaved than Scottish fans?
I think in some circumstances,
You're
yes.
having a giraffe. Have you seen the videos of English fans, especially on away days?
Yeah, but this was kind of way back when. It's not...
This is like last week.
It's all corporate now. It's no.
The away day experience is much more interesting than the home experience.
Aye.
For most clubs.
I don't know. For me, like the other week, I'll tell this story. Went to that Rangers Falkirk game at Ibrox. My first experience at Ibrox, you know. I've been told nothing but bad things about the away end at Ibrox. I'm feeling a bit, you know, anxious about it, you know, like I don't think I'm going to get injucked on me and stuff like that, because that doesn't happen anymore. So we rock up to the station to meet our friend Darren, who sadly couldn't be with us tonight. He's got a sore throat. God be with you, Darren. Sounds like he's died. He's not. So he was there with us, and I was like, all right, Darren, you got the tickets there? No, we're picking them up at the stadium. I'm like, oh, cool, you know, but I heard there was going to be some Falkirk staff there, so it's like, might get them in the gate. He's like, no, they're in the Rangers end. I'm like, they're in the Rangers end, which I didn't know before. However, a small bit of relief comes over me in that I'm not going to get pelters for the Rangers fans, because I'm in with the Rangers fans, masquerading as a Rangers fans, but they have no idea, although they might have an idea. I'll come to that later. So, again, similar to your Olympic Stadium experience, you get the subway. I don't know how the Glasgow subway compares to the Berlin Metro. I imagine you don't feel like you're going to die on a regular basis.
Yes.
They describe it as it's like having our own train set, which is not a good thing for a public transport organisation. Having a train that's half the size and barely tall enough for me, who's 5'7.5", you know, with Darren, who's like, what, 6'2".
More, probably more.
Absolutely ridiculous. But you get there, you get to the stadium, and it's quite impressive, but it is on an industrial estate.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Out that end of Glasgow. We go up, get our tickets, which I must admit was a very smooth process. You queue up, all the numbers were there. I've never seen so many kiosks open in my life to collect your tickets, so it was very smooth, very fast. You know, in the stadium, and it's an impressive stadium. Versus, you know, the Falkirk Stadium every week versus, you know, Pizzaggi, whatever. It is an impressive sight to behold. And we were, of course, 2 seats from the Falkirk fans, which I had not predicted before. And I thought this could be quite a good experience because, you know, Rangers fans, Celtic fans, whatever, it is a very large community. So you thought, you know, this is something we might get involved in this match, that kind of thing. However, I think what I discovered was, and I said this, I think to you the other week, that I'm a very metropolitan man, and I perhaps don't fit in well with your quintessential Rangers fan who is filled with just anger and rage at anyone but fellow Rangers diehards. Hence, I sat very quietly with my snood wrapped around, you know, my ears and just nodded and laughed at near enough everything they said. And that's what I didn't get about, you know, some of the football fans, is they just hated with such passion everything apart from their own.
Yep.
And I couldn't get my head around that.
No, I can.
But like,
I've been growing up. I grew up with like that.
Yeah, but yeah,
I've seen folk get beat off near enough every team in the league for very contentious reasons.
Uh-huh.
So I hate everyone.
Yeah,
I hate everyone anyway, but it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. You have an appreciation for that's just one thing I don't get about football fans, to be honest. Because I would not just turn to the away section and, you know, throw up my kind of Vickies and, you know, signs and hurl abuse.
I mean, for most games in the Championship, there's not many away fans anyway, so it feels kind of bad to isolate them even more.
But you can't even do it because they're at the polar opposite other end of the stadium.
Middle of nowhere. You know, 4 of them.
Exactly, they're not sitting next to you, whatever. So maybe that was just a new experience for me, you know, kind of seeing these away fans kind of huddled, just receiving pelters left, right, and centre.
Aye, they wouldn't have been pre-Watershed either.
No. But I must admit as well, the Matchday experience at Rangers was kind of meh. Like, I didn't think the music was that great. Oh, that was one thing. As a stadium announcer, right, you build your playlist carefully, right? You come up with some casual tunes. You kind of build it slowly, you know, because the getting up to kickoff is a big event, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you don't just stick on, you know, Zombie Nation, Insomnia, all that jazz. They were going straight for it. As soon as you walk through the gate, just bursting out all the tunes, and then the flutes and that came out and whatever. And we talked about those flag wavers in the middle of this. It was just the most bizarre thing. So I think it could be improved from that point of view. But then again, it was going to be the thing on Monday. You know, if I go back into work and talk about the Falkirk game, half a person might know what I'm talking about and that the Scottish Championship even exists. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're a Rangers or a Celtic fan,
yeah, you've got 20 or 30 people to talk about it straight away.
And it's the same when you're sitting in that stand, in that you know, in just one of these wee sections alone, is there's all the personalities of the entire, you know, Falkirk Stadium or Tannadice or whatever, because there's just so many people crammed in there.
Yep.
And I think that adds to it as well as being one with others, and that's why these teams are so popular, because it feels like a community, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's one way to describe it.
Well, how would you describe it?
A collective of weirdos. But it's a strange. I don't like. Hard to describe. I would never ever go, and I still don't understand. I don't know why he's did it. I know what Darren did. Darren's a closet Rangers fan.
Yeah, he is a Rangers fan. I didn't mind doing it. I'm not such a diehard that like I would never sit. You know. I
mean, they are so big now that they can get all-consuming Rangers and Celtic. Not because I've been and they always will be. So there's nothing that really. You can't argue against it. You can't really moan about it.
What I've never understood is, you know, why them versus the likes of, you know, Third Lanark or Clydebank, or Queen's Park, even, who at the time
you can win things, and that's all people are interested in.
Yeah, no, but
and it gathers momentum. It's a downward spiral for everyone else.
Well, now it's a family thing. You're just born into it now, and the rest of Scottish football's kind of.
Always been like
not
that.
Always been like that.
It has.
Not in 1888 and 1872.
Nah, depending on other things back then, but
that's true.
Now the kind of migration of people as well around the country, that, you know, you got a lot of people from who could find their roots in Glasgow now living in Aberdeen, Dundee, Falkirk, or in Lanarkshire, who will now just go to Rangers games or will associate themselves with the old firm. And it's very, very, it's impossible to really recover from that. Clubs try to do their bit, but it'll never really recover properly or sufficiently.
But that's a shame, because it rips a lot out of other Scottish football teams.
It does, but you feel amazing when you beat them.
You do, and they do provide, you know, something in that old firm game. It is the showpiece for Scottish football.
It's the only output for Scottish football in terms of mass marketing.
Yeah,
and it's sad because it is just purely focused on them, and it elevates them. You know, do much to the rest of us. You'll probably get another couple of quid in your coffers, but then that's it.
You know, that Old Firm game, you know, last weekend, it was a point in time that you knew everyone was sitting watching that, including the BBC.
Yeah, watching Sky.
Exactly, and it's just one of those things that kind of brought us all together. It is an amazing spectacle, but do they ruin football for the rest of us?
I don't know. I think they live in their own wee world. And you have to applaud anyone who lives anywhere that doesn't support the old firm and goes and actually supports their own local team. It's a big thing to do. I mean, you probably know it yourself. You would rather go and see a team that you knew were going to win every week than get beat. It takes a lot to change your mind and go and watch somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's the real challenge in life. If you're a football fan, is to go, you know what? It's easy to just go and say, right, I'm going to go to Celtic every week and I'm going to watch them absolutely annihilate everyone else. I'm going to go and watch, I don't know, Morton and cap it in the kind of miserable pouring rain.
You could have had both, actually. You could have gone to Celtic Park and
you could do both. But, you know, and I think maybe one or two people do, and I don't mind that.
No,
it's just frustrating, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But you know, coming on to the different point as well, you've got the different levels of football, right? So we've kind of done, I think we've pretty much done them all this season alone. You know, we went to a Premiership game, you know, Hearts versus Aberdeen at Murrayfield. Exceptional circumstances. We've been to the Falkirk games. I've been to some Stirling Albion games in League 2. You've done
junior games, League 2 games.
So how do you think the experiences compare between
so much for muchness?
It's just football.
The only big difference was maybe the Aberdeen Hearts game. That felt like a big occasion because there was a lot of Aberdeen fans down for it.
Yeah, that was a...
It was a good atmosphere as well.
Aye.
What was it? 4,500, 5,000 Aberdeen fans that were down for it.
A lot of Aberdeen fans.
It was magic. Yeah, it was really nice to be about it. And if they could conjure that up every week,
I know,
would be fantastic. But they won't. They will never be able to do
that. That's the thing.
It's too expensive to do it.
Well, but you know, again, like showpiece fixtures like that create that sense of occasion, which I think we are lacking, you know, on a weekly basis. And a lot of people were moaning, you know, on the Instagram page about the lack of, you know, pre-match build-up and stuff like that. And we look at, and I know some of this falls into kind of novelty and kind of cringy territory. Like if you're going to put, like, you know,
some of it does.
Inflatable, bouncy castles and stuff at the stadium and, some football trickster and stuff, because that's what you inevitably come up with.
Mm-hmm.
But, you look at the American sports, right, and say that, what the Atlanta Falcons new stadium or whatever, all these like humongous screens, everywhere to get that build up. You've got the Wi-Fi and
it's all very commercialised and it's not very pleasant. I've done baseball games, I've done MLS games,
yeah,
and it's okay. If you're American, you like it. If you're anywhere else in the world, it's horrendously
but
rubbish.
they're trying to get a sense of occasion, and every time you go to, and again, I know this is not feasible for a weekly sport, but if you go to a Scotland rugby game, they've got the pipers, there's a freaking cannon that fires off, there's fire.
That's a national game.
I would love
to actually know when people say I want to be more pre-match experience. Does that just mean you want a pub within 500 yards of the ground?
See, that's the thing.
What do you define as your pre-match entertainment?
I don't know.
Do you want to go to the pub and you want to watch the early game? Do you actually want to?
Which you can do a lot of football clubs these days.
Less and less. Let's be honest.
You can do it at Falkirk. You could do it at.
Can't do it at Falkirk.
Yeah, you can. Behind the goals, John.
Away you go. £3 for a bottle of Corona is a joke.
Is it? Yeah, but they have to pay for a lot there, to be fair. I think Livy's got a bar,
The accessibility of some of these stadiums is difficult. I mean, if you're a Falkirk fan and you want to go away to Dundee United, you have to get the train to Dundee, to Edinburgh, then you've got to get the train to Dundee, then you've got to get a drink, and then you've got to do all that on the way back. To me, that doesn't appeal. I'd rather just drive.
Yes.
But then, you lose your match experience.
Well, we are quite fortunate in that Scotland's relatively compact, compared to everything else.
It's doable, but I gave up.
Why do you think we're losing people through the gates?
Not interesting.
It's
It's a combination of things. It's too expensive for a lot of people now. It's the quality in the park isn't good enough to really attract them. Maybe argue with the Kilmarnock a wee bit of kind of momentum going, and there is a very small increase on their gate. It's not a huge amount.
It's horrendous though. But
it's like, that's a big thing because there's an extra 500 on their gate.
Well, I was looking through, because I was clearing out hard drives and stuff that I found some horrendous things. But anyway, the thing was melting with all the torrents that were on there. But I found the pictures of the Rugby Park playoff match against Falkirk. Our stand is crammed, and you look at how many Killie fans were there, and it was a playoff final.
They're not going to show up much their team get relegated. If it had been the other way around, I don't think the Falkirk Stadium would have been full of Falkirk fans, but it would be rammed with Kilmarnock fans because it's the momentum was there. It's one of these things. It's because Hamilton never showed up all that much anyway. But
I think
Dundee United
their away attendance at Ross County this weekend was 30, and good on them for that, because I believe St Johnstone midweek at Kilmarnock was about the same.
Aye, they reported it as about 12, but it was actually more, 40 odd.
And then Inverness Cali at Dundee United was much the same.
Aye. Always the case. Why would you travel?
You'd have to be a really committed.
Why would you do it to yourself?
That's my thing, I guess that football, and this is not a popular thing for a footballing podcast to say, is not my number one priority, in life. I mean, it's great, it's enjoyable, but I can kind of take it or leave it. At different times it kind of comes and goes.
It all depends on the team and how it's kind of performing. If Falkirk are playing well, I'll go week in, week out, home and away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm going to go and watch something that's reasonable. At the moment, the way we've had our season, it's not been particularly enjoyable. Most of it's been arduous.
But the first time in a while, to be fair, there's usually been something to shout about for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Aye, and I think we're on a bit of a come down after that, and people's expectations were too high. Aye. That's a different story. Falkirk and a lot of other provincial clubs, I think they've got a decent core home support, 3,000-ish. Most clubs will take maybe 200 or 300 in away games, but you're never going to get much more than that. Not unless it's a really high profile game. I think the last kind of 3 or 4 games of the season where something is to play for. Yeah. You'll see a lot more people turn out.
So do you think as clubs there's just nothing you can do?
Nah, not really. It's a human nature. Why would you waste your time? Why would you go and watch something you've already seen 3 times?
But John, we're playing championship teams 4 times a season here.
Falkirk played Livingston for the 6th time last week.
I know.
Why?
I know.
Why is that?
What's really funny is as well, because John Baird moved from Inverness to Morton, I swear he's going to play Falkirk like 10 times this season.
Quite possibly.
Just
Just soul destroying.
It's very dull, and I think they need to watch, because I really think there's going to be competition just for people's time now more than anything else. I think people's time's getting squeezed more. There's more ways we can spend it. You
do anything you want now, really.
Oh, look at you, John.
Great.
What escort service do you use?
Hell.
The Ford. Dear.
They can do what they want sometimes. They're up against it. They're run by people of an old-fashioned nature as well, which doesn't help. It's a grim place to be.
But then that's what hit me about the Rangers experience as well. In that, they're singing all these, old songs with a flute and, stuff like that. And all that stuff it's in the past. And these people don't really care about the differences between the two teams, be it on the football pitch or off the pitch, but they like to feel part of something. And if feeling part of something means you do stuff like that. And I know Terry Butcher spoke about it as well. He was saying, he heard himself chatting some things in the dressing room sometimes. You had to take a step back and look at yourself and think, what am I saying here?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you got swept away and you felt part of something.
Aye, that happens, but, you do it when you're the 90 minutes of the stadium and you go home and you're back to normal.
Depends how much of a blue nose you are, though, doesn't it? It just depends.
For any fan, it's not just Rangers, it's...
No.
For any other clubs, like... I keep using the Falkirk example, but if you get used to Dunfermline fans, anybody for Fife,
aye,
even Livingston, there'll be a bit of rivalry there. Obviously, it's like the hatred, but dislike for people from like the Kilmarnock team. And,
but there's a mutual respect in that.
No, there's not.
Yeah, but if Dunfermline didn't exist,
So what? It would never have.
Yeah, but
the rivalry would never be there then.
We would have no interesting games to go to in the season.
For Falkirk?
Aye.
Nah, really.
Because
you can say that for anybody.
I cannot remember. The last big game I can remember doing for Falkirk, I think, was the Dunfermline game in the Iron Brew Cup. Since then, it's just been utter dross.
Well, I mean, it's not been a great season.
Apart from the Brecon game, which I announced.
Miserable Tuesday night.
Yeah, that was terrible. Oh, come back soon. And then, but is that experience that different than what we get at the Development League, which is free, apart from a Scotch pie, which is quite nice.
It's a different thing, though.
I like it because it's more casual.
It is more relaxed.
And I enjoyed, announcing like the Women's Cup final for the very same reason. It was, quite relaxed. And what was good about that was there was like a girls' football tournament before it. So they came from there into the stadium. And I would love to see like an undercard or something for football matches. It's something they've pitched before. Especially if you've got an AstroTurf, right?
It works if you've got an AstroTurf. It doesn't work if you've got a grass pitch.
Well,
it doesn't. No,
it's another 90 minutes of football really going to kill a grass pitch.
It will over a season. Absolutely.
I don't know.
Especially in the winter. You've seen the state. But would you imagine playing 2 games a week on that?
That's true. Well, a lot of these teams have, facilities outside the stadium and stuff. Say if you were to play a Development League game before or a women's game before,
You might get extra people through the gate. I don't think it would increase your gate. It would just.
It wouldn't increase your gate, but it would be.
It would through the door early.
It would be something else to do because right now you open their turnstiles an hour before.
Yeah.
For no real reason, There's nothing to do. The players come out and work. At Falkirk the other week, where the rain was literally blowing horizontally, people were
up the back
stuck
of
in the concourse. Yeah. It wasn't. It's just nothing for do. So undercard. I go to motor racing all the time. There's support stages and stuff like that. And that's where I think the likes of Falkirk do well in that, you've got your half-time crossbar challenge and...
It's just wee gap fillers. It's all in the periphery.
It is all in the periphery. Anyway, I don't think we've been very helpful to solving any problems.
No, I think we've lost most of our listenership.
I think so. I think we're we're a bit dour sometimes and not very positive on the outlook of Scottish football. I must say it interests me more than English football, though. What do I rush to first? Sports Scene or Match of the Day? Sports Scene.
Neither.
Although Match of the Day is on earlier. Although credit to Sports Scene, which is now on at 6, which
it's a great time, although I have my Sunday dinner at 6 o'clock and I can't get away to watch it.
But I think they specifically moved it for this podcast because instead of we
half
to record
then,
on a Monday, it helps that. But so let's say, the price of football at the top's too high, right? Your alternatives are lower league, which is your Stirling Albions, your Clydes,
It's
Edinburgh Cities.
still expensive.
It's less so
No, it's still expensive.
And then you've got junior football, which would be what, a fiver at the gate, or
Cheaper, but nah, actually, junior football is a completely entirely different subject. I think it's
Well,
a
you
different
were-
sport.
you were saying earlier they're considering playing
Summer
through the
football.
summer.
There's big clamour for it. I think we'll find out at the end of March if they're going to go for it or if they're even going to consider it. Because I think they're entirely separate from the SFA, so that they can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Which is good on them, I suppose. They're looking at moving to summer football, which for them will be fantastic.
Summer loving, have to play that every game. of
Every
course.
time now.
But that would be brilliant. You rock up in your kind of black leather shirt. Sorry, I'm still thinking of Greece.
Like-
Or a different Friday evening I've had.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's why I love the the Betfred League Cup. You rock up, sunset, shorts, sunglasses, and the brilliant thing is if you were to do that in junior football, you're there on the terraces, exposed to the elements. I said earlier, I would love to have, a beer in hand or something like that. Just having a great time watching football.
Aye.
And I think that'd be a great way to kind of boost the junior game, which I know is very popular in certain areas. And they do have a very kind of die-hard following.
Mhm.
But, it's people like us who, there's just weekends you just want to go to a football match.
But even on a Tuesday night, it's about long nights. And
Aye.
even if it's reasonable weather, I'm not talking like mid-20s. I'm talking if it's maybe even like 13, 14 degrees and a wee bit
Shorts and
overcast.
t-shirt weather at this point in time, aye.
Taps off. Yeah. It's a lot more appealing than it is now when it's like -6, snowing,
Yeah.
March. Dreadful.
Well, then you're picking up a lot of extra interest, from the likes of your football clubs in the area, and
Aye. And you've got nothing to compete against in the summer.
nothing.
It'd be the same for if the whole of Scottish football moved. You can picture Celtic Sky who show absolute rubbish during the summer.
Yes, there's
Especially
nothing.
for the 6 or 7 weeks when the English teams completely disappear off the face of the earth. I think BT move on to American sports, it's baseball all the time.
Yeah.
But even then, there's money to be made and there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, but it's much more enjoyable than going.
It's so much more enjoyable than wasting your time
Absolutely.
freezing your balls off watching rubbish. And that is the crux of all this. Why do people not go to Scottish football? It's miserable. It's too cold. No one wants to leave the house.
I'm clipping that. You're right. Very, very sadly, but I need to go to a junior game sometime because I've not done it before.
It's alright. It's like watching League One.
I can't. Well, you know what? Again, I've said before, watching those like League 2 games, I can't really tell the difference between Championship sometimes. And these are part-time lads, so But I think it'd be good to see some junior football on the horizon at some point in the future.
Hopefully they'll move. I hope they do.
I think so. It just generates more interest, more cash. Happy days for everybody. Wee brother actually signed for a team this week.
Oh dear.
And they announced it on Facebook that, big announcement, Andrew Biggs is signing for, this team. I was like, why? He's not played for anyone before. Who's going to know the name? From the junior ranks of the under-14s at Graham High School.
Who's he signed for?
Bathgate?
Oh dear. Okay.
Who apparently play in Grangemouth now. They're in the process of relocating but still call themselves Bathgate.
So
I think this is Sunday League. This is like pub teams.
well.
There's no junior football necessarily. The fact there's even a level below. There's far too many levels. So we shall go. I've offered my announcing skills if need be. To be fair, I know Camlin Juniors recently had a new system installed.
Really?
Aye, and they were looking to install a new system at Ayr United, and the system installed there has been there since 1978, I believe, and still operates under the
why not?
same premise. Good old Somerset Park will be there until the end of time. Still with the tannoy working, presumably. But anywho, one of our kind of final topics was we were going to look at kind of early predictions for team of the season. One thing you might see popping up on Instagram in the following weeks will be some Championship players. Don't hurl abuse at me. I think I should be alright because it's not Rangers or Celtic, and
No one else cares.
pretty much the Instagram following is for one or t'other. So I've currently constructed kind of 4 different cards for players that aren't in the game. We're anywhere between kind of 64, 68 rated, which I think is fair for the Championship. It's probably a bit generous.
If it's team of the season, it's okay, I suppose.
You're always going to anger someone, aren't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, we thought we'd look at some names for the kind of Premiership team of the season today. And John actually came up with quite a good list, which I nearly foolhardily agree with. And we'll argue my case for Jamie McDonald in a moment.
We'll do that now.
Yeah.
Team of the goalkeeper of the season so far. I went for Wes Fotheringham.
Why?
He's the only Rangers player I can probably shove into this.
See, that's the problem. You actually, when you're going through these players, you miss out a lot of players from teams that are playing well.
I mean, I think Marciano has been a decent keeper for Hibs. McLaughlin at Hearts, he's okay.
Yeah, made a few. I would have to go for Joe Lewis. I think Joe Lewis has been fairly spectacular.
I don't know.
Although I'm a big fan of Jamie McDonald. Joe Lewis, McDonald on the bench for me, that's what I'm saying.
Murder. I actually think Fotheringham's done quite a good job at Rangers this season.
He's made a few howlers.
He's a good keeper. We'll talk about Jamie McDonald in the Scottish Cup final.
Did he make a howler in the Scottish Cup final?
Twice.
For who though?
Falkirk.
He plays for Kilmarnock now, that's irrelevant. Point is moot, move on.
Left back with Tierney.
Yeah, you'd have to foolhardily agree with that.
For that. Centre backs, I went for Dan McGregor.
I
hate it, but
right.
I think Hibs have been decent at the back.
Your other choice was Christophe Berra, right?
Yes.
I would agree with Christophe Berra. I think I put in Scott McKenna.
Done alright. I couldn't pick either. Any
6 and half a dozen, yeah.
Maybe Bates. Bates has been alright for Rangers.
Played.
I know, that's the problem. If he had played more consistently during the season...
That was the other thing about the Rangers game, was every time he got the ball, every time, it's just these people, Bates, oh, Bates, every single time. And my goodness, there's only so much of David Bates you can actually take.
Yep.
You know, how many... His ego must be out to hear that one section of the Rangers following are obsessed with nothing but David Bates, and I have no idea why. He's barely played. He is a good defender. I'll give him that. Barely played. I think we said this before, and it's like every single time, Bates. Oh, and it just, you know when it goes round and round your head and you're like, stop,
you can't sleep because it.
Please stop. And then, Jason Holt came on, that was even worse. Oh, Jason Holt, always believe in yourself. You changed two words and you're singing it constantly. Anyway, sorry. Rangers gripe over.
Is that your rant over? Okay.
Yes.
I went for Tavernier at right back.
Mm-hmm.
Just fair enough. I can't think of anyone else decent.
Nah, that's my problem. Fullbacks haven't really
No
been
one's
a
impressed.
sense of strength this season for anybody.
If that Mitchell boy has to the Hearts.
Well, he's gone.
Beyond his injury, he might have made it. He looked okay.
Yeah, but he's not played enough, sadly. Yeah.
Wasn't putting Effie Ambrose in. So.
Reluctantly, I would have to put in Tavernier as well.
Because Shea Logan hasn't been all that great.
No, I would agree with that.
And Lustig.
Has he been the fullback for Celtic?
The right back.
I think Tierney's been the only good defender.
Yeah, off either of them. Anyway, back over all round. Right winger, Forrest for sure.
Yep, had a good
Absolutely
season.
brilliant.
Couldn't disagree.
Left wing went for Jordan Jones. Can't argue against that either.
Can I not?
No. Yeah, I'm not allowing it.
Other people I had, which probably don't match up to Jordan Jones, would be like the David Templeton, Gary Mackay-Stephen. Maybe not on the level of Jordan Jones though.
Jordan Jones, he's been brilliant. And it pains me to say it, but yes. Another one that pains me to say is actually Malumbu.
Yes.
Been absolute stalwart in that Kilmarnock team.
Really agree with that. He's been shown the Premier League class that clearly has.
Two centre mids in there as well. Went for Scott Brown. I think it's one of his best seasons.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree, unfortunately.
Absolutely brilliant. And McGinn. It's a toss up between McGinn and McGeoch. I think McGeoch looks a better player when McGinn's beside him.
I think McGeoch's been in the better form. I don't think McGinn's been as much of a standout this season.
I think McGinn does a lot of the dirty work. He doesn't get the kind of...
I think now everyone knows about his quality. It's not so much a surprise anymore.
Yeah,
That's why I think McGeoch's maybe shone a bit brighter.
Yeah, because you don't expect it so much.
Yeah. I'm obviously a big fan of the likes of Ryan Christie, but he's maybe not been in form all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us kind of to our strikers now. Who are you going for?
I absolutely physically test myself.
If you say Morelos, I'm going to slap you across the face.
No, it's worse.
Who's it?
That belly dancer.
Yes! Boydie! You have to. He's scored so many goals.
He has.
Like, he's
And the thing is, Dembele hasn't done all that great.
Oh, he's been rubbish.
Morelos is useless.
Completely.
Cummings isn't all that great.
Nope.
No one at Hibs or Hearts has been brilliant. Stevie May is a joke.
Hibs changed their front line. Aberdeen players haven't been scoring enough.
Hearts.
Moult left. We don't know that much about
The rest of them.
Who else? Well,
I mean, it was like... I toyed with the idea of Lafferty.
No. He's just not scored enough goals.
And Stephen A. Smith hasn't been all that great either. since
So it had to be Boyd.
It really that tells you something quite harrowing about the Scottish
I
Premiership.
know.
There's next to no decent strikers.
But see, like when I put my Instagram up today of like Boyd getting the winner against Rangers at Ibrox, you would never have thought that in this year Chris Boyd would have scored the winner for Kilmarnock against Rangers.
No.
And I thought he was done last season, let alone this season. But he nearly moved to Aberdeen in the summer. I think wisely chose to stick with Kilmarnock, and it looks like he could have another season left in him.
I think he probably will.
Was he 35, 36 now?
Yeah. He's playing in a system at the moment that suits him. He doesn't have to run about a lot.
He's just
a poacher.
He's the best poacher possibly in the world.
Produced in a long, long time in Scotland.
But that's why he was so successful at the likes of Rangers and stuff. He just, scored so many goals. And he's still doing it.
He's getting the service. I mean, you've got to look at Malumbu, Jordan Jones, who... They're the kind of players that get into the right position and put the ball in the right places for Boyd to score.
Mm-hmm.
If Boyd had went to Aberdeen, I don't think he would have got the same kind of service.
No.
He'd have been used totally differently.
But that's his home, isn't it? That's where he started.
Aye, it's just down the road for Glasgow, so
aye,
it's alright for him.
But
I feel ill.
Well, I thought the punditry work would have signalled the transition into something else. But he's still got it, and he's loving it. Like, see all these daft celebrations he's doing with like the wobble in the belly and like just giving it stick. I don't know if he celebrated his goal against Rangers. I didn't see that on the highlights. I think he was still giving it a bit of loud, but he's just loving it, absolutely loving it.
Oh, he's in the twilight of his career. He should be. Got to play him actually.
Have you watched SPFL Matters with him and Chris Commons and Sky Sports?
It's not brilliant. I actually don't like it.
It reminds you of
I don't like Chris Commons either.
It reminds you of like an assignment they give you at like uni or high school is to make a TV show, and it's got that kind of awkward cringe factor, like they're not presenters, but to be fair, they're new to this. Give them a bit of time, and I'm sure any moment he'll be spitting out of his Range Rover at other people, so it's fine. Something we should have mentioned in the news perhaps. Nope, I would heartily agree with that. But yeah, I think for me, other people that have done well, like David Templeton, has had a good season.
Yeah, he's done alright.
I think you could argue for someone like Jack Hendry, getting the move to Celtic.
Not played very much.
Yeah, not at Celtic, but for Dundee in the earlier part of the season, who have now crumbled without him. Gary Mackay-Stevens kind of been on off. A few Motherwell guys. I couldn't think of who to include.
It was a bit of a struggle. I think they've defended reasonably well. I think Keeptree is a wee bit of a cult hero down there.
I think the Cadden's one of the more highly rated, but he's been injured for long spells of the season.
Bowman.
I like Bowman, but he's not a player of the season.
Comes in and out a lot.
Yeah.
Striker they've got in as well, whose name's escaped me.
The English boy.
Aye. I think he might be alright for them. I don't know if he's there next season or not, but is he on loan?
No, he's there. They bought him.
I don't know. Anyway, your Championship boys.
Well, we were talking about earlier. I think it's a really easy thing to put together a front line for the Championship. I think you put Stephen Dobby up front because he's been scoring so many goals, supported by the likes of Lewis Morgan, Gavin Rettley at St Mirren, who've worked really well in that kind of front three, along with Cammy Smith, who you may or may not include, I don't know. Gary Harkins, quarterback, easy peasy. From there,
bit of a struggle.
It's a bit of a well, like for example, who's the best goalkeeper in the Championship?
Not much for muchness.
Well, that's the thing. They either don't do anything, or even though Connor Hazard at Falkirk got called up to
the Northern Ireland.
How?
I don't know.
How? Like what?
It's the full team though.
Aye.
Is it?
Aye, it's the
full.
full.
Just under 21.
No.
Oh dear.
Full shebang. I'm like, what have you done to merit that? So
he didn't even play at Ibrox. It was Thompson.
No, he didn't. I think he looks nervous. Which is not ideal. Like St Mirren have a named goalkeeper. They've got Craig Sampson, don't they? Who's been a Premiership goalkeeper in the past.
He's done alright.
Who's the Dundee United keepers now? I don't even know. Really showing up on us.
Cammy Bell.
There's the
no.
He came on for Hibs. He came on for Marciano for his first appearance in like 2 years.
Neil Alexander at Livingston.
Neil Alexander, has he been playing that well for Livingston?
Sure, I don't know. They've been doing well as a team. I don't know in the individuals.
Well,
this is the problem. I don't know enough about the Championship, and I go every week.
But we see them. I know that like Danny Mullen was a big star for Livingston. He moved to St Mirren, and I now believe he's not actually getting that much game time there.
Nope.
So, that's hard to say. So, if you've got any suggestions, we're trying to put together some things for the Instagram. So, give us a shout if you're a Championship fan. I know that's a bit like screaming into a chasm and hoping that something's going to come back.
And not just your echo.
It's so sparse. You A, have to be a fan of a Championship team, B, have to be YouTube searching for a Scottish football podcast, and C, have managed to listen to us for an hour.
I prattle on about the worst stuff we've ever talked about in this podcast.
I think so. Oh. Anyway, we'll get to that.
We're still here.
Exactly. We will round off this week quickly with our Ack Attack, which has been as successful as the rest of the podcast so far. We were done in midweek last week from Boca Juniors.
Yes.
Were we done anywhere else as well?
Yeah. Kilmarnock Darren down here, Rangers to win.
We said that was a dead set. Brilliant. You up or down on Cheltenham, John?
I was about break even actually.
Break even? Happy
in
days.
the end, so I was quite content.
Yeah.
My bike got beat by 4 furlongs in the Gold Cup and I had 50 quid in it.
You 50 quid on a horse race? You must be mad. We're paying you far too much here.
I'd have 6-1.
Utter madness. Anyway.
So we're kind of altering Ack Attack a little bit to Saturday fixtures only.
Yes.
Broadly.
Yes.
Friday night Saturday fixtures.
Yes.
So your first game
is on a Friday night. Scotland versus Costa Rica. I'm going with Scotland because Gamboa, of course, is out and he's their only real threat.
The only one we know of.
As far as I'm concerned. And my next one, you're going to helpfully remind me, is Barry against...
Brescia.
Brescia.
Yeah. Brescia.
We're obviously keeping an eye on Liam Henderson. It's an easy one for me to pick every week. And I think every week I've got it wrong.
Barry Whitewash.
Yes, Barry Whitewash. Barry Whitewash. And they have drawn their last 3 fixtures. This week I'm going to say they're going to win. Because Brescia are 17th in the table and something's got to happen.
Yeah.
So Liam Henderson came off again though.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He's coming off.
Maybe going back to Hibs next season.
Yeah, I'm surprised that never happened in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know if Lennon rates them or not. But anyway, my first game is the Challenge Cup final.
Woohoo! Which we haven't spoken about at all. Brilliant.
Nah. Dumbarton versus Inverness.
That's a shame.
4:15 kickoff. A reasonable time for that actually.
Yeah.
I want Dumbarton to win it, but I think it'll be Inverness, so I'm going to go for Inverness to win.
Quite right.
In 90 minutes.
It's a tough one to call that.
Next game is actually Inverness, Dundee United versus Dunfermline.
Ooh, all Championship affair this week. Well, it has to be, I guess, doesn't it?
Just got a draw written all over it.
The Championship's fallen into that static draw phase again that they did towards the tail end of the season.
Much for muchness.
St Mirren are now, what, 12 points clear?
Something like that.
Because they're the only one that can actually win any games at the moment. Yeah, 12 points. Dundee United are flipping heck.
It's the bottom is really interesting because Dumbarton, despite looking like they're completely and utterly marooned, a win puts them within a point of Inverness and within 4, I think, of Falkirk. Correct in saying? I'm hoping you're looking at the table.
I am, but you're talking about the Challenge Cup final, aren't you?
Yeah, but look at the bottom of the Scottish Championship.
Yeah. If Dumbarton were to win and Inverness were to lose, but this cup game.
Aye, no, I mean in the league.
Aye. Yeah,
sorry. It just shows you the kind of...
And then Brecon are 4. Brecon are so far away.
They're the only team in Britain without a win. Because Cowdenbeath even won at the weekend.
Did they?
See,
they need 130 grand if they want to keep going.
That's just not going to happen.
Which is a bit of a shame. But aye.
No one really cares about that. You noticed that?
The Cowdenbeath thing?
Yeah.
No.
This is a club that was in the Championship about 4 or 5 seasons ago.
I know.
They could go out of business. No one really cares. It's quite sad.
A big name in Scottish football, as we've said before.
The Blue Brazil.
Exactly. And, 130 grand. Yeah, there isn't anyone coming to the rescue, but at that end of Scottish football, there's none going for Cowdenbeath anymore, I think there's quite a good fan base there for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many teams in that central Fife area that, not hard to let them go.
No.
But then who comes up and replaces them if, I don't know.
Will the club just fold and that'll be that? It'll never come back.
If they get relegated, they will fold. Because there's no point.
Could you think there'll be a reincarnation a la
Yes.
Third Lanark? There'll be a
Yes,
junior
yes.
team or a...
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. It'll be the team of racing drivers that do it at the stadium on the Friday night. Whether we would see the likes again, who knows?
Probably not. Never mind.
Is that us?
That was a sad moment.
I know. Everyone wants to play the beautiful game against the Blue Brazil. If you've heard that song. Nope. That's what we can do. Charity single reworded. It'll be released under Sofamanager publishing label, and we'll get no money for it. It'll all go to Cownbeath, and we'll save the club. There we go. And rebrand it. We'll sponsor them as Sofamanager.
Call them Fourth FC.
Roaring success. Firth of Fourth FC is what I would call them, John. They were actually speaking about what a sensation of David Goodwill he's been with Clyde, and how he's much better than everyone else in the league.
Scotland call up.
What? Well, but they were saying that potentially he should sign with a full-time team such as Queen of the South or Falkirk.
No, thank you.
And just be a bench, but he would score goals.
Oh,
He would score goals.
absolutely not.
He'll score goals.
I don't think his tag will allow him.
What?
His tag.
But then, forgive and forget, John. He's served his repercussions, I'm sure.
I'm sure that would go down well with the victim.
Well, sadly it's one of these things, isn't it? Not that I would endorse such behaviour at all. Anyway,
Can we end?
I think that's a good point to end on. So thank you for listening from myself, Paul.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Goodbye.